Welcome back to our Week 7 preview. Here at Trippy Commentaries, RJ and K-Mac running through every game on the Week 7 slate. And we are up to Minnesota traveling to Buffalo. K-Mac, we could have Teddy Bridgewater finally looking as good as we expect him to, because Buffalo's defense needs some work. That said, Buffalo is favored by 5.5 points. Are you taking them?
I'm not taking them. I'm taking Minnesota. I mean, I'm not sure at this point who I feel is going to win this game. It's going to be close, though. I think 5.5 is too much to put on Buffalo and to ride on Buffalo. Taking Minnesota here. I think this is the game where we kind of might see Bridgewater bounce back. I think he learned last week, and he even came out and said it this week, that he needs to get rid of the ball sooner. He needs to be a little more decisive before he snaps the ball, and I agree with that, because you felt last week when I watched him, he was just hanging on the ball for too long. That's why he got sacked like 8 times. So that's something he's going to work on this week. Obviously, try to get better. I think they're going to try to implement that more to their offense, more little quick passes. Maybe finally throwing some damn screen passes to Cordero Patterson and getting your #1 athlete on the field right now involved in your offense. I know he's kind of been a little banged up, but I feel for him that I feel he's going to bounce back a little bit. And it looks like McKinnon's their guy to go now. I mean, freak athlete. He's going to be a great running back. They obviously got Ossie out on third downs when they need him. So I'm going Minnesota. I feel that they can easily pull off a victory. Kyle Orton, he looked pretty good last week, but he didn't do enough to win the game. Obviously, it was a lot tougher of a matchup, going against New England. But I feel Kyle Orton just, that game's going to come where he's going to look terrible. He's going to throw 3 interceptions. We've kind of seen this before from him. I know they're putting him in there because they feel he can manage the game better than E.J. Manuel. I don't blame them. But I just don't feel that they're going to do enough, and I feel Minnesota's going to bounce back. Because I still think Minnesota's a pretty good team. I feel bad for Bridgewater. He doesn't have it easy like Manziel. Manziel's got it easy right now. He's got no expectations to meet. He's just going to sit there on the sideline and watch how to read the defense. And Bridgewater's kind of just been thrown into it now, and he's got to get going. And he's learning, and it's going to be a learning experience. But I think their offense matches up well against Buffalo's defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other side of the ball there. I actually do like Buffalo in this game because of Kyle Orton. I think he's legit here. I just like the tools around him. Sammy Watkins, of course, got shut down last week because of Darrelle Revis. Now he'll be back. Minnesota really doesn't have anybody that can shut him out.
Yeah.
And the running backs are going to get it going. Kyle Orton, the Viper, is going to win another one, and you're going to start to see some hype around him in the offense. But I am worried about the defense. We'll see what Teddy Bridgewater can do. It is a tough road game, and I think that's why Minnesota's going to come up short. It's definitely hard to pick the game from a Vegas standpoint because you have 5.5 points. I think Minnesota can stay within 5.5 points. I think this is going to be a close one.
I'm definitely taking Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo, given the 5.5 points, but I don't feel good about it. I do think they're going to win the game at home and keep up in that AFC East division. Everybody's saying New England's going to eventually run away with it now that they've been looking good once again. But don't discount Buffalo and Miami. I think both those teams have some wins in them. Perhaps Buffalo, with Kyle Orton, can make a run. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but hey, that division is not scaring anybody. New Orleans traveling to Detroit. Detroit is the best defense in the NFL, and it's that's the truth.
Yeah.
Carolina's fallen off. Cincinnati's fallen off. Seattle all of a sudden got ran over by DeMarco Murray, which whatever, that's going to happen. But Detroit, they are the #1 defense. New Orleans is without Jimmy Graham.
Yep.
Is this going to be the low-scoring game that nobody expects?
I think it's probably going to be somewhat low-scoring for New Orleans. I think that Detroit is going to be able to put up some points against New Orleans' defense this week. You mentioned it. Jimmy Graham not playing is huge. We saw last week Drew Brees look like shit without Jimmy Graham. They're going to rely on Brandon Cooks to be their main playmaker now, and I just haven't seen Brandon Cooks be able to break away from anything yet. I mean, he's catching these underneath routes, but we're not really seeing him take the ball and actually strike once he has it. You can't get that out of Colston. Kenny Stills, you might be able to get the over the top look every once in a while.
I think Colston will take on the Jimmy Graham role a little bit more of
catching
the
more
possession,
of those seam routes,
possession receiver.
Yeah, catching 20-yard catches and getting tackled right after. They need Brandon Cooks to really step up this week and break a few big ones for him. And they really need this running game to step up for them. And I feel that's you got to get some type of running game established against Detroit, because if you don't, that D-line is good enough. They're going to keep coming after the quarterback, and that's when Drew Brees is going to have problems, because he doesn't have Jimmy Graham to find him. He's in trouble like he usually does.
Now, they do get Mark Ingram coming back.
Exactly.
But the problem is Detroit's run defense is so good that it's just not going to happen this week. Detroit's defense is going to look to prove something against the Saints defense, because Saints offense, because they know that if they can shut down the Saints, people are all of a sudden going to acknowledge them as the best defense in the league, just out of nowhere in some people's minds. They're only favored by 2.5 points here too, so that's not that much.
That's field goal. That's most games that are close are going to be within a field goal. So
Detroit's going to win, and New Orleans is going to fall to an even worse record.
I feel it's going to happen.
Man, I was not worried about the Saints until the Jimmy Graham injury, and then now all of a sudden it's code blue. And you don't know what the hell to think about them. I could see them losing this game, getting Jimmy Graham back at some point, and making a run, because that's another division that nobody's running away with it. And they can maybe
might be the
pull
worst
off
division
a 9-7
in the league this year, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. There's some other pretty miserable divisions. The Colts and the AFC South were looking pretty bad until, of course, Indy's now on a run, so they look great. So with that game, the 5.5 points going, the 2.5 points going to Detroit. We're both going to pick Detroit, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Detroit.
San Diego is at home to face Kansas City. San Diego is a contender for the best team in the league right now. Phillip Rivers looks as good as he's ever have. It's really weird how you think back a couple seasons ago, and we were wondering how much he had left in the tank. Now he's an MVP candidate on possibly the best team in the league. Really crazy stuff. I look for them to beat up Kansas City pretty good. Even with the 4 points, I'm going to take them and feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's only 4 points. I thought this one would be more of a 7-pointer. San Diego's just looked great so far. I don't see that changing this week at home. Kansas City, we'll see what Jamal Charles can do. San Diego's defense has been pretty good this year. A lot better than I thought they were going to be. So we'll see if they can shut Jamal Charles down. But still, Kansas City really has no weapon in their passing game. I don't understand why they've never addressed this. Dwayne Bowe is not going to get it done. And they just really don't. I do like Kelsey, obviously. He's a young guy. Still probably not being used enough. That's a guy I would be going to in most plays. He's good enough to do that. And San Diego, I feel they're just only going to get better. I mean, we've seen a great Phillip Rivers without even like a great Keenan Allen. That's what we had last year, and a lot of people thought, well, Keenan Allen's so good, that's what's helping Rivers out. Rivers is getting the ball around everybody. He's got his old school receiver back, Malcolm Floyd, who's definitely helped him out. Eddie Royal is playing off, out of his ass right now, and I like what the team's doing. Brandon Oliver as well.
Well, one thing though, K-Mac, about you were mentioning Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen kind of stepped up when Eddie Royal went down, so maybe Eddie Royal is really better than all of us have thought, because we all know Keenan Allen is good, but for Eddie Royal to be that big play wide receiver over Keenan Allen right now, maybe that just shows you that with Eddie Royal, they have one of the best receiving crews in the league. Keenan Allen, Antonio Gates, Malcolm Floyd is much better than people give him credit for, because he had to deal with that huge injury there. Mm-hmm. Once they get Ryan Matthews back, you add him with Brandon Oliver, this team is well equipped for the run.
Dangerous. It's like Oliver's now going to be the old Woodhead role. And he's a lot better, the Darren Sproles type role in this
Woodhead
offense.
on steroids.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're both taking San Diego. I feel great about that pick. What about you?
I do too, man.
I don't like Kansas City's chances at all, and it's funny because they do have Jamal Charles. You think that gives them a hope. But I look for San Diego to just hold on to the ball. They're going to be a ball control offense, which is going to keep Jamal out of the game. New York Giants traveling to the Dallas Cowboys.
Big rivalry match.
Big time rivalry. And Dallas is favored by 6.5 points. I think that's because none of us expect the Giants to be able to stop DeMarco Murray. Here's the problem. Tyron Smith might miss this game. Dallas is so deep on that offensive line. I think they can handle it even without the best offensive tackle in the league.
Yeah.
I look for them to take out the Giants. Once again, I think losing Rashad Jennings is a crushing blow to the Giants. I mean, that just is so scary for a defense where you know he's a great running back, but you also know he can catch it out of the backfield at any time, so you have to guard against both. It makes the play action almost like a double threat, because first you have to guard against the run, and okay, you didn't hand it off to him, but that doesn't mean he's not a receiver. Andre Williams, you could just take that out of the equation. That's not going to happen. On the road here, I don't like the Giants. I think Dallas is going to win again, and many people are going to start to view them as one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you here, and I agree with you on the play action, the play action option that they had there with Jennings. But the other option they had was because Victor Cruz was able to burn the secondary when they did that play action. Obviously, they don't have him now, so New York's kind of hurting right now. They're losing some guys that are big in that offense. And I see this Dallas defense, Rod Marinelli, credit to him, man, took the worst defense probably in NFL history last year and has turned into one of the better defenses this year. Really done a great job with that defense. And they've lost players. It's not like they've really gained a whole lot of players. He just has them playing at a high level right now. Obviously, with Murray being able to run the ball so efficiently, it's keeping them off the field, so it's helping them out as well. And Dallas, Tony Romo is sometimes unbelievable. Sometimes he looks horrible. I felt he's been a little more consistent this year. We've seen a few turnovers here and there, but he's still done enough to keep the game in Dallas's favor and obviously just hand the ball off to Murray. He's going to run all over New York.
Yeah, so you're picking Dallas straight up, even with the 6.5 points?
6.5 points, yeah.
Wow.
In Dallas, I feel, they're going to put up some points this week. I'm also looking for Dez Bryant to have a big week as well.
Yeah, the problem with this is also I think that Andre Williams is going to have a tough time getting going, mainly because the Giants will be down and they're going to have to pass, which is going to show up bad Eli. I think you're going to see a 2 or 3 interception game, possibly one being a pick six, and Dallas is going to win again. I'm expecting, let's go ahead and kind of talk about our expectations for Dallas real quick. I'm expecting a brutal failed finish at the end of the season. I know everybody's going with the hype train here, but it almost seems like it's setting up for another Dallas Cowboy failure, which I do not want to see. I even came into the season saying I want to see a good playoff season from the Cowboys. They deserve it. But honestly, I think that we might be seeing them being set up for failure.
I think they're going to make it to the playoffs, but I feel they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. So somewhere in there from either whatever games they're playing in the playoffs, I feel one of those, they're just not going to come through and win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl. Like I said, Tony Romo sometimes looks great and sometimes looks horrible. We'll see what he can do. Let's see if he can keep it going. Obviously, we've always talked about Murray having injury problems. If they lose Murray, they're going to be in a lot of trouble on offense. So something when you're riding on a guy that strong on your offense, it's dangerous because one little thing happens to him and there goes the rest of your season.
Let's quickly cover the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Oakland Raiders. I'm pretty sure both of us are picking Arizona, and they're only favored by 3.5, so it makes them even easier to pick. Carson Palmer, I think, is looking okay here. I mean, even though he's not at full strength, he looks good enough. Yeah. Great wide receiver crew. I think Andre Ellington's going to be pretty good here against Oakland. They're not going to be able to stop their offense. And this should be a pretty easy win for Arizona, who needs a win. So it's good timing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm taking Arizona to cover there. You kind of like what you see from Oakland last week. The coaching changes.
True.
Sparano, maybe he's got the right formula, and we can see Oakland start contending again, which would be great. And you hate to see teams just have such a shitty season. We're experiencing it right now in Tampa. And so maybe that's going to turn it around. I like what I saw from Carr last week, and he's going to have a little more of a challenge with Arizona's defense this week. But like you were saying, Carson Palmer, I think he is definitely a good enough quarterback. Obviously, he's smart enough. if that arm is holding up, man, he's got a lot of weapons to go with.
Yeah, I would like to pick Oakland. It's just Arizona's a great team right now, and I think they're definitely well deserving of a playoff run. And if they are indeed a playoff team, then they're going to win this matchup. Oakland hasn't won a game, so if they lose in this game, then of course, all kinds of red flags will be lifted. But don't expect that. Arizona will win, thanks to Carson Palmer and his band of very impressive weapons. San Francisco traveling to Denver. I'm very excited about this matchup. It's a primetime game. Yep. Seems like every time San Francisco plays Denver, and this is going back to like the Steve Young era. This is going way, hell, Joe Montana going against Denver. I just remember so many good matchups between these teams. This is my upset special pick of the week. Denver's favored by 6.5 points. If I was in Vegas, I would definitely go to the sports book and place money on the San Francisco 49ers. Wow. Kyle, what do you think?
So are you picking San Francisco to win the game, or just for Denver not to cover 6.5?
Man, that's a tough call.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
It is a tough call. I am going to pick Denver to win it by a field goal. But I like San Francisco, and I don't feel good about picking Denver, even though it's at home, even though it's at night. It's going to be ruckus. One of the best home field advantages in the league, because you got to take the mile-high atmosphere into account, especially at nighttime, where it's a little bit different. These players are not used to playing nighttime games, but I think San Francisco can keep it within 3 points. Therefore, I put my money on them.
I'm gonna go with Denver to actually cover. I feel you mentioned those key aspects there. At night in Denver, it's been known in the crisp, cooler air, something flies a little farther. In baseball, same thing in football. Football's going to go a little farther. Peyton Manning is going to go throw the ball a little bit farther. His ball's going to have a little more zing on it. So that bodes well for, obviously, the Thomas two-headed monster that they have right now, touchdown machine that they have in Denver. I don't think San Francisco's defense is going to be good enough to stop Julius Thomas this week. You got Willis there, but obviously not having Bowman, that's huge. I think if they had Bowman, I think they would really match up well against Denver.
Yeah, Willis is banged up too.
And Willis is banged up. I feel they're soft there. I think Julius Thomas is going to have another big week. Obviously, probably going to get another touchdown or two. This guy is just a freak right now. He's unstoppable in the red zone. And, Demaryius Thomas as well. And, like we see from Hillman last week, he puts up 100 yards coming in, filling in there for Monty Ball, who's injured. And I just feel Denver right now is rolling. They're using all of their big weapons that kind of in the beginning of the season they didn't really use. Demaryius Thomas was kind of absent at the beginning of the season. I feel they've gotten whatever they needed worked out, and they're going to start using him a lot again. And then you throw in Emmanuel Sanders, then you throw in Wes Welker. Really hard team to stop, and I feel both these teams are really good right now. San Francisco looked great last week, but I just feel Denver is the better team in this matchup.
Yeah, that's
but the 6.5 is definitely hard because it's going to be a great game. It's definitely set up to be a great game, but I'll put my money on Denver, man.
Let's finish it off with Houston traveling to Pittsburgh, the Monday Night Football game. Pittsburgh certainly fallen off as of late.
Yeah.
And this is, you would think, a game for them to bounce back and win. But Houston is an underrated team here. Arian Foster is at the top of his game.
He's a beast right now. We
know that Andre Johnson looked good as well in the last game.
Yep.
Ryan Fitzpatrick's underrated.
Your boy, man.
I'm picking Houston on the road.
I'm picking, I've been kind of disagreeing all year long. You've been talking of Fitzgerald and Fitzpatrick, and I just haven't really felt it yet. But I think he is doing enough to at least win the games. Just keep giving the ball to Foster. Guy looks so good right now. He's definitely one of my favorite running backs to watch. His cuts are ridiculous. The guy just makes it look so easy. Pittsburgh's defense is in for a hell of a time. I think he's going to run all over them. Pittsburgh, their offense is good. I feel Houston's defense is good enough to shut down. Maybe not shut down because I think it's maybe impossible to shut down Antonio Brown. But at least they can do enough to at least stop Le'Veon Bell and force Roethlisberger to have to try to make some plays and create some turnovers. I'm going with Houston to cover 3.5.
Wow. And I doubt you'll find too many people that are straight up just confidently picking Houston on the road in Pittsburgh because we all know Monday Night Football atmospheres. Those are crazy. Pittsburgh, Heinz Field.
Yeah.
It's going to be a party there. But at the same time, I think they know that they got some serious issues on defense. Here's a matchup for you, Kyle. Cortez Allen versus Andre Johnson.
Yeah, there's no chance there. And like I said, the big thing for Houston right now, that running game, Foster's going to control the clock, and then they're going to be able to have one-on-one matchups with Andre Johnson, like you just said right there. That is a mismatch all day long. If they're going to have that guy covering him one-on-one, man, that's going to be a big week for Andre Johnson.
And Arian Foster, I look for a huge game, probably 2 touchdowns. Houston's going to win this, and it's going to be Panic City in Pittsburgh.
I think it already is, to be honest with you. That game last week was that probably just made so many people in Pittsburgh feel bad because you lost to Cleveland, team that you've owned for how many years, and they come in and they you go to their house and they whoop your ass. So Tomlin's got to turn his team around, man. I have confidence in Tomlin, so maybe that will screw me this week. He might bounce his team back, but I like what I'm seeing from that Houston offense, man.
The Steel Curtain defense is extinct. Sorry to say, guys. I'm a big Pittsburgh fan from back in the day. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm RJ for K-Mac. Make sure to stay tuned for all of our weekly previews. Week 8 has some exciting matchups ahead as well. Stay trippy and have fun watching football this weekend, guys. Enjoy.